Everyone, so today we are going to solve the most recent paper. It's Feb-March 2026, 0625, variant 22. So let's start with the first question without wasting any time. The first question is the diagram shows a stone of irregular shape. Which property of the stone can be found by lowering it into a milling cylinder half filled with water? Okay, in this paper, I'm going to discuss all the option. Which one is the one that is correct? And why the other options are incorrect. We will discuss them in detail. Okay, we are not just following the marking scheme that its option is C, then we will move forward. No, we will discuss in detail the logical points, the concept behind the question, so you will be able to solve any question that come into your exam related to that concept. Okay, so stay with me till the last moment of this video. And if you have not subscribed the channel yet, please subscribe it so you can get the updates side by side. Okay, so first question, you have to tell which thing can, which found by lowering it into milling cylinder half filled with the water. So it is obviously the volume that is defined by this displacement method. Length is measured by the scale we know, mass is measured by the balance we know, and weight is also made by the balance. So it is C. Pretty easy question. The next part is they're asking you, okay, a helium balloon is taped to a top pan balance, a metal block of mass 100 gram is placed on the balance. The reading is 91 grams. Okay, and which statement can be deduced from this experiment? Okay, what they are doing, this thing is of 100 grams, beta. But the reading is not 100 that is on the scale. It should also be 100 if this block is of 100. Why it is not 100? Because this balloon is cancelling the effect of this thing. But you need to keep in mind this balance always measured the weight. Okay, so the weight provided by this thing will be measured, but this weight provided by this block is cancelled by somehow to some extent because of this helium balloon. It's providing a force upward. So what this reading is represented is because of some resultant force that is acting on this balance. And that resultant force is the difference of these two forces. So let's see what the options are. The balloon exerts a downward force of 0.0 Newton on the top pan balance. No, balloon is not exerting a downward force, it's exerting an upward force. It is incorrect. B is the helium has a mass of minus 90. Mass is never negative, it always positive. The helium has a mass of 9 gram. We don't know what its mass is. Okay, we can't get this answer from this given information. D is the resultant downward force on the top pan balance is 0.89. We are only left with this option, but let's solve this. Um, what this thing will show you, I told you this balance reading depends on the resultant force. That is mostly the weight. Okay, if only one object is placed on it. So the resultant force in that case is equals to mg. What this thing do usually, this is designed in a way that whatever weight is, it will divide it by g. That will give you the mass, and this mass will be shown on the scale. So this is the mass that is here. Okay, this is the effective mass, you can say. So if mass is 91 grams, you have to change it into kg, divide with 1000, multiply by gg is 9.8. Okay, when you do this thing, you will get 0.89 Newton. Okay, so this thing is correct. The resultant force on it is this much. Moving forward, question 3. An athlete runs 300 meters up the hill. Let's suppose this is the hill. The athlete is moving up the hill 300 meters. In how much time? 100 seconds. Okay. And she then run down the same hill in 50 seconds. Now she is coming back the same hill. And how much? It will again travel 300 meters. So the total time, you have to find the average speed. So average speed relation is total distance covered over total time taken. Total distance covered is 300. It has traveled upward plus 300. It has traveled downward, and its time was 100 plus 50. That will give you 600 over 150. That is equals to 4. So it's option B that is correct. Okay. Moving forward to the next question. The diagram shows the speed time graph for a car. What is the acceleration of the car? We know in a speed time graph, acceleration is equals to slope. And slope is equals to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. In the given diagram, given graph, we can only take these values because we don't know the other coordinates. So if I take these two values, my y2 is 12, my y1 is 4, and my x2 is 2, my x1 is 0. So it is 8 over 2, that will give you 4. Its option is A, that is correct. Question 5. What is a weight? By definition, weight is a pull of Earth or the gravitational force acting on the object. It is C. Moving forward, what is the relationship between the force F on the object, its mass, and its acceleration? This is defined by Newton's second law. F is equals to ma. Okay, so if you rearrange all these formulas, this one is incorrect, this is incorrect, this is correct. Okay, so it will be F is equals to ma. Question 7. Which statement about the resultant force acting on a moving object must be correct? Resultant force moving. Okay, the option A is correct because F is equals to delta P over T. You should know the derivation of it. We know F is equals to ma, and we know A is change in velocity over time. So you can say this m delta V, this thing is, sorry, m delta V is delta P. So this thing can be written as delta P over T. That is rate of change of momentum. Okay, so that is correct. Why B is not correct? It is the force needed to keep the object moving at a constant speed. It's not mandatory. Okay, so resultant force can be 0 as well. It is the impulse acting on the, this is also wrong. And D, it is the largest force acting on the object. No. Why? Let's suppose there are two forces acting on the object. Let's suppose this is F1, that is 40 Newton. Let's suppose there is F2, that is 10 Newton. What is the resultant force? Resultant force will be equals to 40 minus 10, that is 30. So 30 is not the largest. Largest was F1. So it's not mandatory that resultant force is largest. Okay, so D is also incorrect. In question 8, a motor is used to lift different size loads to the same vertical height. Okay, let's highlight what important information we have. It's the same vertical height and different size loads. The power input to the motor is kept constant. Okay, so power input is constant. The graph of a time taken against the load lifted is shown. Which statement about the efficiency of the motor is correct? Okay, options are it will decrease, it will increase, stays the same. Okay, so this is tricky question, by the way. First, you need to know the relation for the efficiency. Efficiency is useful power output divided by total power input multiplied by 100. If you have to find percentage, let's just ignore this 100 right now. So power output over power input. What is constant? Power, the F, the load is equals to weight. Sorry. Load is equals to weight and weight is equals to mg. That is not constant. That can be different. Okay. Achha, h is constant, height is constant. And the power input to the motor is kept constant. So P input is also equals to constant. Okay. Basically, from this graph, we have to tell how the efficiency will change. So we need to know which parameter is constant, which is changing. Okay, so now I'm going to change my efficiency in terms of these load and heights and these things. What you're doing, this is the object, you're lifting it upward. So the work done on it's changed into mgh energy. This mg is basically the load, and this h is the height. And if I divide this mgh over T, that will give me power output. So I can write this thing as mgh divided by T over Pin. So it can be written as mgh divided by power n into T. So if you look at this thing, this h is constant, this power n in constant, okay, and on the left side there is efficiency. So I can say this efficiency is proportional to this mg is the load, okay, it's proportional to load divided by time. So efficiency is proportional to the ratio of these two. And if you see the graph, what is happening here? They are changing in proportion. It's a straight line slope. The increase in load is increasing the time. The decrease in load, the decrease. So this ratio, if this increase, this also increase. So it's mean this will remain constant. Okay, so it's option C. I hope you understand this thing. It stays the same as the load increases. If the load is increasing, input power is same. So for the motor or for something, it will be more difficult to lift it. It will take more time lifting it, right? So efficiency will remain same. You're increasing the load, the time will also increase to do that thing. Okay? Because the input power is not changing. Question 9. An object is at the depth of h below the surface of the liquid. The density of the liquid is rho and the gravitational field is, what is the total liquid pressure at the depth? H. We know the formula rho gh. So this is correct. Okay, this is the pressure and liquids relation. Question 10. A car tire runs over a nail that makes a hole in it. The air in the tire leaks out. Why does the air leaves the tire? Okay, why the air leaves the tire? You need to know that force is exerted from high pressure region towards low pressure region, always. So basically the pressure in the tire is more as compared to the outer atmosphere, so the air will rush outward because of the force. So it's option. The pressure inside the tire is less. No, the pressure inside is greater than the pressure outside. Okay. Moving forward, question 11. Which graph shows the relationship between pressure P and the volume V for a fixed mass of gas at the also pressure and volume have the inverse relation. If you increase the volume, the pressure will be decreased. Okay. But there is a trick. The graph that they have plotted, these twos are incorrect because they both are showing, this is showing directly proportional graph. That is not correct. This is showing P is proportional to minus V. That is also not correct. Okay, it's not minus. Okay, that is also not correct. The B. The C option is correct. Why? If you just plot P and V, the graph will look like this. But you're taking this thing as a single variable. So let's suppose I say 1 over V is equals to X. So it's mean P is proportional to X. So if I have to plot this thing, I will plot P and there is X. So it will be a straight line. And this X is 1 by V. Okay, so C option is correct in that case. Moving forward, question 12, the graph shows how the internal energy of 1 kg of metal change with temperature. Okay, what you have to do, this is for the 1 kg of metal. What is the increase in the internal energy of block of the same metal of mass 0.125 kg when its temperature rises from 40 to 80? Okay, so let's first check how much energy changes for 1 kg when it changed from 40 to 80. So it is at this point 40. 40 is there. Okay. And when you talk about 80 degrees Celsius comes here. Okay. So each division is showing you one, right? So it's this is 812 and this is 824. So change in energy is 824 minus 812, that is 12 kilojoules. That is for 1 kg. So change in energy for 1 kg is 12, right? So we can use the ratio method as well. So when the energy is 12 kg, you can change this thing, it is 12,000 joules. The energy changes 12,000 joules when the mass is 1 kg. How much energy will be changed when the mass is 0.125? They both are proportional to each other, right? If you remember the specific heat capacity relation, E is equals to mc delta T. So whenever both the things are proportional to each other, they can be related by this ratio method. So you can write it down like x over 12,000 is equals to 0.125 divided by 1. So x is equals to 12,000 multiplied by 0.125. That will give you 1500. Okay. Let's move forward. Question 13. Both melting and boiling of water require an input of energy, right? What happened to the temperature of the water during the melting and boiling? Melting and boiling both are the change of state, and whenever the state is changing, the temperature will remain constant. So it is option D that is correct. Question 14. A beaker contains a liquid. As the liquid evaporates, particles escape from the surface of the liquid and temperature of the beaker changes. Which statement is correct? Okay, so this is the evaporation. And let's suppose this is the liquid. At the surface of the liquid, the particles are of high energy. So when they leave, the average kinetic energy of the liquid will decrease. So when the average kinetic energy of the liquid will decrease, the temperature will also decrease. So it is the option B that is correct. The beaker cooled down because a more energetic particle escaped from the surface of the liquid. Question 15. Equal volume of water at 100 degrees Celsius are put in 4 containers. 2 containers have matte black sides and 2 containers have shiny white sides. One of each type of container has a lid. The container are left for 2 minutes. Which container of water has the highest temperature? Okay, so which one will have the highest temperature? That one will have lowest cooling rate. And which one will have the lowest cooling rate? The one that is a poor emitter of heat. So heat loss should be minimum. So first of all, these two with the lid we will not choose. We will choose with a lid. So whenever there is a lid on something, it will reduce the heat loss. So we have to choose between B and D. Now B is matte black, whereas D is shiny white. You know, matte black is a good absorber and good emitter as well. Good absorbers are the good emitter. So white is the poor absorber and the poor emitter. So minimum radiations will be going out of it. So because of lead, there is minimum convection, and because of the white color, there will be a minimum radiation heat loss. So it is option D that is correct. Moving forward, question 15, 16. The diagram shows a person keeping warm while water in a metal kettle boil over a wood fire. With thermal energy transfer taking place in the situation. Okay, so conduction is not possible. Why? For the conduction, you need a physical contact with the object. So this wood is not in contact with the kettle, it's not in contact with the person as well. So the heat will be going up because of the convection and radiation, whereas to the person there are only radiations because it is on the side. So it's option C that is correct. Okay, conduction is not possible. Okay. Question 17, the diagram shows a wave. Which letter represent the amplitude? And okay, it's very simple. Amplitude is always made from the center of the normal position. So S is the amplitude. So you can choose between C and D, and you have to tell wavelength. Wavelength is between two troughs or between two crusts. So it is R. So it is D. That is correct. Okay. Moving forward, which statement about the image of an object formed in a plane mirror is correct? It is smaller than the object. No. It is the same size of the object. Yes. So image in the plane mirror is same size, same side as well, same distance as well, and it is virtual, it is not real, and it is laterally inverted. These are the properties of the image formed in the plane. Laterally inverted means its right and left side will be flipped. Right side will be on the left and left side will be on the right. It is not upside down. Okay, that happens in the lenses. 19. A ray of light travels from air into a glass block, and they have given you these variables. Three suggestions as to how the refractive index of the glass n may be calculated as shown. Achha, they have changed the variable to confuse you. We know the speed of ray. We usually call this thing the speed of ray. The speed of light in air is c. We usually call this thing c, and in glass we usually call this thing simply v. Okay, the refractive index formula is n is equals to c by v, if you remember. So this is correct by all means. The second thing is, speed is proportional to wavelength. When object move into the denser medium, its speed will decrease, so as the wavelength will also be. They are both directly proportional. So you can change this ratio in terms of lambda as well. So this is also sensible. This also makes sense. But frequency remain constant. It will never change. So you will not take the ratio of anything that is remain constant in all the cases. That is incorrect. So it's option B that is correct. Okay. 1 and 2. Question 20. A light ray travels from air into the glass. The angle of incidence is 32 and angle of refraction is 21. What is okay? So it's pretty simple. You have to apply sine I over sine R. Make sure your calculator is in degree mode. It should be showing on the top screen this D sign. It should not be in radians. So sine of incidence is 32 and this is 21.1. When you do the calculation, you will get 1.47. That is option C. Question 21. A real image of an object is formed by a converging lens. Which statement is correct? Okay, so it is a real image. The ray from the tip of the object meet at the point and image can be viewed. Yes, the real image, the rays always meet with each other and the image can be projected on the screen. In B, what they are saying, the ray from the tip of the object meet at the point and image cannot be, that is wrong. It can be viewed. The ray from the tip of the object do not meet. That is incorrect. The ray from the tip of the object do not meet. Okay. So question 22. Intruders, alarm, mobile phone, and security scanners are practical uses of electromagnetic radiation. Which list places the devices in the correct order of increasing wavelength of electromagnetic radiation? Okay, in this you don't need to memorize all the sorry wavelengths, but you need to know that the wavelength is proportional to range. What is range? How far the wave can travel. Now, how you choose the range, it depends on its application. So if you can imagine the security scanners are mostly in the form of the gate or something you pass through it. So it hardly covers the few meters, okay? So then intruder alarms can cover the room. So smallest is security scanners, then there can be a intruder alarm. But when you talk about the mobile phone, you're getting the signal in the mobile phone from the mobile towers, right? They are almost 2 kilometer or 5 kilometer away from you. So they should have the highest wavelength because their range is very high. So it is option C that is correct in that case. Okay, so you can do it like this. Question 23. A student wants to explain why the sound from a train gets louder when it gets closer. What is the type of wave and which property of sound? Achha, sound is simply it's a longitudinal wave. It's not transversal. And loudness depends on the amplitude. Okay, so B. In question 24, the diagram shows four different sound waves as represented by an oscilloscope. The scales are the same in all the diagram. Which sound have the lowest pitch? Pitch is depending on frequency. So they're asking which one have the lowest frequency. Frequency mean how frequent or how many waves are in the same time. So if you see there are one, two, and three waves, whereas there is 1.5 wave. There is also two waves. There are also so this is the least frequent. Okay, B. In question 25, a soft iron bar is not magnetized. Not magnetized. It is held close to north pole of the magnet and then to the south pole of the same magnet. What will be the result? Okay. Non-magnetic, non-magnetized magnetic material always be attracted towards the magnet. Any pole, does not matter which pole is there. Okay, it's A. Which quantity is defined as energy transferred by a cell in driving unit charge around a complete circuit? This is a definition of EMF. Which graph shows the relationship between current and the voltage for a metal at a constant temperature? That is important. At constant temperatures mean R will remain constant. And you have to keep in mind the slope of these graphs is showing the R, and that is equals to constant. So you have to choose a constant slope. That is option C. Okay, constant positive slope, because we know V and I are directly proportional as well. The diagram, the circuit diagram shows a cell connected to two diodes and a lamp in series. In which circuit does the lamp lights up? Okay, which circuit is functional? So this is positive terminal. If you move like this thing is reversed by it. But you have to keep in mind, if there is a diode like this side is attached with positive, this is with negative, the current will flow. Okay, this is the only case. If it is attached other way around, the current will not flow. That is called reverse bias. So the positive is at here, it will not flow. It will flow from here, it will reach here, but it will be blocked here. Unless the current can complete the whole path, the lamp will not be functional. So this is all not the option. In C, it will start moving from here, it can move from here, and it will reach back. So C is the option. Question 29. The diagram shows a battery connected to two resistors X and Y. Two voltmeters are also connected. Okay. The reading on the voltmeter 1 is greater than the reading on the voltmeter 2. Okay, so V of X is greater than V of Y. Which row about the current in the two resistors and the resistance of two resistors is correct? Okay, if you see, this is a series circuit, so current will start moving from here. Current does not have any other choice. So the current will be same. In series circuit, current is same. So Ix will be equals to Iy. So this is true, this is true, this is false. Okay. So now you have to choose between A and B. And in the series circuit, if the resistors are attached in series, their voltages are depending on their resistance. The one with the more resistance will have more potential difference. Okay, this is also application of potential divider. So you should know that R of X should also be greater than R of Y. So it is option B that is correct. Okay. Moving forward, question 30, the diagram shows a conductor WZ. Part of the conductor lies between the magnetic poles north and south. When the conductor is moved, electrons flow along the conductor from Z to W. Okay, electrons are moving this way. So electrons are moving this way, it's mean current will be taken as in this direction. Why? Current is always taken in the direction of positive charge, opposite to the negative charge. Okay. So in which direction is the conductor moved? Okay, it's very simple. One thing, when the conductor is moved, electron flow. So it is the generator effect. The motion is causing that thing. One way is you can use the right hand rule, and you can find it, Fleming right hand rule. The other way is how you can judge. If you see the current is passing in this axis, what you can say along the WZ. So if you remember, the force, the magnetic field, the current, they all are perpendicular to each other. They must be perpendicular to each other. Okay. So if the current is in this direction, it's mean the force will not be in this direction or this direction. So R is not the option. First thing. Secondly, magnetic field is always from north to south. So it is in direction of Q. So if magnetic field is in direction of Q, the force will not be in direction of Q. Same is the case, it will not be even parallel or anti-parallel to it. So we are only left with this option. The other way is you can apply the right hand rule and you can find it. In question 31, graph 1 shows the output from an AC generator. Which changes can be made so that the generator produce graph 2? Okay, so if you see there is a graph 1 and there is a graph 2, what is the difference between both of them? 2 have high amplitude and it is more frequent. High amplitude and more frequent. Okay, so now let's see the options. Decreasing the magnetic field strength and decreasing the speed. No, if you decrease the magnetic field strength and the speed, it will even decrease it further. We need to increase the amplitude and frequency of one to become 2, right? Increasing the magnetic field strength and decreasing the number of coil. Okay, this one thing is making the amplitude high, but this is then decreasing the amplitude. So this will cancel the effect. So this is not the option. Increasing the number of coils only. If you increase the number of coils and the rotation is same in the same time interval, so the amplitude might increase, but the wave will have the same frequency like it is in the one. So it will not be 2, it will be something else. So we are only left with D option, increasing the speed of the rotation. Yes, when you increase the speed, the loop will be completed earlier, right? And there will be more EMF produced. In question 32, the diagram shows a current carrying wire in a magnetic field. What is the direction of magnetic force on the wire? Okay, so again, I can use that method. I know magnetic field is from north to south. So I know the D and C are not the options. If you have to find what you have to find? Force. There will be used left hand rule. This is basically the motor effect when the current carrying conductor placed in magnetic field and it experiences a force. You have to choose between A and B. Now you can use the left hand rule. When you use the left hand rule, your first finger should be downward toward the south. Your second finger, the middle finger, should be in the direction of current, and your thumb will be aligned toward the force. It is B. Question 33. A transformer has a primary coil of this much turns and secondary coil of 10,000 turns. The transformer is 100% efficient and they're telling you what the VP, VS, IP and IS are representing. Which statement about this transformer is correct? Okay, and they have given you the different values. Achha, we know that ratio of NP over NS must be equals to VP over VS. If I find the ratio of NP is basically 2000 and NS is basically 10,000. So it will give you 1 by 5. 1 by 5 is VP over VS. So you can say VP, or let's suppose if you have to write down in terms of VS, VS is equals to VP multiplied by 5. So this thing is correct, this is correct, this is wrong, this is wrong. So you have to choose between A and B. Now we know that VP over VS is opposite of current. It's IS over IP. They are inversely proportional. With the voltage is more, current will be less, right? If in secondary coil the voltage is 5 times more, the current will be 5 times less. So this VS will be VP, sorry, I should write it down for the IS should be IP, it should be 5 times less. It can be written as 1 by 5 IP. This 1 by 5 is 0.2. Okay. So it is option B that is correct. Moving forward, question 34. The diagram shows that scattering of alpha particle by the gold foil. Two observations from the experiment are labeled 1 and 2. They are evidence for the structure of the atom. Which conclusion is correct? The atom have no overall charge. No, this was not the part. This is correct, but this was not the part of the experiment. There were 3 observations and they were about the nucleus. It was about the atom as well. Okay. The atom has an overall positive charge. The statement is incorrect. The atom is mostly empty space. Yes, that was the observation. Because most of the alpha particle will pass straight through it. Okay. The atom has an overall negative charge. That is incorrect. Question 35. A nuclide has the symbol of Na2311. Which statement about all atom of this nuclide is correct? Okay, so they are giving you the different option. This thing show you the proton. And this 23 is basically proton plus neutron. That is equals to 23. And in this 23, 11 is proton. So 11 plus neutron is equals to 23. So neutrons are 23 minus 11. That will give you 12. Okay. So the only correct option here is A. A student measures the count rate from a radioactive source. Which method should the student use to remove the contribution made by the background radiation? You have to tell the method. In A, take the measurements in an empty room. Okay, then what he will do? No, this is not the method. Okay, you have to tell it what you have to do with it. Measure the count rate due to the background radiation. Okay, on its own, like you can measure it in the empty room and add it to the measurement from the source. No, you will not add it. You will subtract it. Measure the count rate due to background radiation. You will subtract. Yes, it's C. Okay, D is also incorrect. A beam of beta particle traveling in a straight line, it enters a region where there is a field that deflects the particle in a circular path. What is the type of field and its direction on the diagram? First thing, the field that bends the particle in a circular path is always a magnetic field. So A and B are incorrect. Secondly, if you see this object was moving like this, and the force will be acted on it in a way that it start moving in a circular path. So what you have to keep in mind, the magnetic field must be acting perpendicular to it. Okay, this is the condition. If the magnetic field is acting perpendicular to it, then the particle will start moving in a circular path. So if you make it towards the bottom of the page, the magnetic field into the page. Okay, Achha, these both are now the perpendicular. So if you see at this point, if you see the force will be somehow downward, it should be perpendicular to the force as well. Okay, so this is the direction of force. It should be into the page. Okay, you can even apply the left hand rule as well. But when you are applying the left hand rule, beta is moving this way. The direction of current will be taken towards the left side. Then you can apply the left hand rule and you can find the magnetic field. In question 38, uranium-235 can undergo nuclear fission in many ways. Which equation correctly shows a possible fission reaction for the uranium? Okay, how we can check the equation is correct or not? By checking the balancing. If let's start from the masses. If you see the mass is 1 here plus the mass is 235 here. So this is 236. Okay, the same here. There is also 230. Sorry. 236. This is also 236, 236. Now, if the mass on the right hand side, if the mass of these elements are also 236, then that is correct. So if I add this thing 141 plus 92 plus this is 1 is the mass of neutron and there are 3 neutrons, right? So total mass will be 3 into 1. When you add them, this will give you 236. Okay, if you add 91 for this plus 144 for this plus 2 into 1, that is not equals to 236. Same is the case here, same is the case here. Question 39, sorry. Okay, the satellite is orbiting above the Earth's equator. It completes one orbit of the Earth every 24 hours. The satellite is 36,000 km above the surface of the Earth and the radius of the Earth is 6,400 km. What is the orbital speed of the satellite? Okay, so what they are telling you, let's try to picture this thing. Let's suppose this is the Earth, this is its center. The radius of the Earth is this 6,400 km. The satellite is at some height and that height is 36,000 km and there is a satellite. Okay, this is the satellite. And time is also given. You have to find the orbital speed. We know the relation for orbital speed. It is 2 pi r over t. Now what we need to know what this r is. This r is the distance from the center till the satellite. Okay. So this r will be equals to 6400 plus 36. The answers are also in kilometer per second. So you don't have to change this thing. 2 pi into 6400 plus 36,000 divided by time. You have to change 24 hours into second. That will be equals to 24 into 60 for the minutes and 60 again for the seconds. Okay, so it is 24 into 60 into 60. So that will give you, doing the calculation, 3.1 kilometer per second. Last question. One nuclear reaction that occur in the sun is responsible for most of the energy released in the sun. What is a nuclear reaction? It's not fission, it is the fusion. But which one is true? Fusion of the helium to form hydrogen? No. Basically, in fusion, the lighter element change into the heavier, not the heavier into lighter. So hydrogen is the lighter element that will change into the helium. So it's option D. Okay. So if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please subscribe it so you can get the notification when I upload the next videos.